Welcome to Handmade Happy Hour. Today I've got 9 different Halloween fashion DIYs to share with you. I'm doing everything from resin jewelry to clothing. Let's get started with the jewelry. First up, I'm going to show you dimensional magic jewelry. This is going to create a faux resin-like finish, and I'm just using scrapbook paper and scrapbook stickers for this. First, I'm going to use a circle punch. You can hand cut this as well, but these circle punches match up the wood shapes perfectly. So this is a 1-inch wood disc and a 1-inch circle punch. Then I'm adding Mod Podge to the back of the paper, and I'm going to place it right onto the wood disc. If you wanted to prep these wood discs further, you could paint them black, gold, silver, whatever color you wanted. We're going to go ahead and tap that down and make sure that's good and sealed down. Next, I'm going to layer up a sticker. I'm going to show you in a minute how you can layer up just another piece of paper using Mod Podge. These are kind of like mini collages. I do love using my tweezers to get placement. It's just so much easier to see. And then I'm going to top coat the whole thing. I'm top coating it because sometimes stickers have a top finish that reacts with the dimensional magic. So go ahead and top coat with regular Mod Podge. You can see I'm just twisting my bottle here. You don't want to shake it up. You don't want to get air bubbles. And then I'm working on the outside of my project and working all the way to the inside, filling in. We're going to let that dry for 24 hours in a non-drafty place. Next, I'm just gluing a bail to the back. You can get these bails at any craft store. I've got some linked in my Amazon shop in bulk. These are really great. Go ahead and add that there. And then we're going to let that dry. I use a heavy duty glue. This I'm using E6000. You've got enough time to kind of wiggle that into position. Look how cute they turn out. Okay, let's do some earrings. This is going to be a similar technique, but I'm going to show you how I poke that hole. I'm tracing the teardrop earring shape. I've got all these different supplies linked, and then we're just going to go ahead and cut that out. Again, with these Halloween papers, I love just sort of layering them up. So let's cut out this little witchy design, and then I'm going to go in and fussy cut around it. I'm just using some sharp scissors here. And then I'm going to add Mod Podge, of course. We're going to Mod Podge down our stripe paper. I'm adding that to the back. Again, just like the pendants, if you wanted to paint these black, gold, silver, whatever color you wanted to, you could paint those wood discs first. Let's press that down. And make sure those edges are really good. Then you just add Mod Podge to any pieces that you want to layer up. And you can go ahead and start placing them down. And you could layer even more pieces on here. You just want to make sure that those edges are really good and sealed down. Now I'm going to trim off the little extra, the overhang. Give that a good little trim. You could use a nail file here too if you wanted to. And look how cute that's already looking. Now we're going to top coat the whole thing, and these I am going to use the Dimensional Magic on also, but I'm just top coating here with the Mod Podge matte. And that will seal all of that down and be a nice layer before putting on the Dimensional Magic. Dimensional Magic is non-toxic, so it's kind of like a faux resin. It's going to dry hard and glassy. I'm using a toothpick to poke that hole. That's going to be where we're going to put our ear wire. And it's important to do that first. Going to go ahead and add our outer rim and then just work your way to the inside using the Dimensional Magic. And I'm gently squeezing the bottle. It really doesn't come gushing out. It kind of comes out in a pool, which is really nice. Again, dry for 24 hours, a non-drafty place. If you do get an air bubble, you can pop it with a sewing pin. Now that it's completely dry, I'm going to go in and we're going to re-poke that hole. So I just did a little starter hole. And then we're going to go in and poke through. It's usually a toothpick works, but if not, a small drill works. But you can see here I had great success with just a toothpick. Now we're going to add an ear wire. So I'm using 2 jump rings. We're going to open up our large jump ring first, put that through our earring, and then we're going to use the other jump ring and the ear wire to make the ear connection. I like doing it this way so that you know that your earring is always going to hang in the right direction when you're wearing it. Oh, sorry, I went a little bit out of frame there. It's always so hard to show pliers. But now you can see it. So I've got my larger jump ring, my smaller one, and my ear wire. I love how these are turning out. Okay, let's make some rings. It's the same technique. This time I'm going to use some Scrabble tiles. I grab these at yard sales. I use these for pendants, for rings, for earrings, for so many things, magnets even. I love working with these little Scrabble tiles. Adding some Mod Podge to the back there. We're going to place it right on that little wood tile. Glue that down. Now this becomes a very tiny collage because this is literally for a finger. Let's trim up our edges. I don't worry about being too precise with my cutting right on the first pass because I know I can always trim it on the project. And we'll top coat. And now we're going to add some dimensional magic. And of course, let that dry. So these are some glue pad ring bases. And I'm using that same E6000 glue. Just kind of spreading that on there. And then we're just going to flip that over and glue that to the back side. You do want to make sure that your ring is going in the proper direction. So you want to make sure if you've got words on there or a graphic that it's going in the right direction. All right, next up, let's do some napkin decoupage trucker hats. For these hats, I'm using napkins. I'm separating the plies. I'm only using the top printed ply. And the formula here is fabric Mod Podge. I like using this to apply the napkins, but I'm not going to top coat with it. So I'm spritzing my napkin with a little bit of water, and that's going to help with wrinkles. This is a dry paintbrush here. I'm just going in and kind of making sure that the napkin is all sealed down. I'm adding more Mod Podge and sealing down there. And then since the napkin is, since the hat is curved, we're going to need to go in and pleat our napkin. So we're going to add more Mod Podge under there. You can see I'm kind of pinching it and pleating it to create that seam at the top. And we're going to go ahead and just smooth that down. Don't worry about that extra. We're going to trim that away like you see here. But I did let it dry a little bit before I'm doing this. It's best to let it dry and then trim it up. It's very hard to make a pattern of a hat like this. They're all sewn a little bit different. So in my opinion, it's better to start with a bigger napkin and then trim away the extra. So I didn't seal with the fabric formula. I like to seal the hats with the matte formula. To me, with the napkin and the foam hat, it dries less sticky and it just has a really nice finish. So I'm going to finish that off with some rickrack trim. This is just my taste. I wanted to make this kind of extra fun. You do not need to do this step, but I'm going to glue down some rickrack here. You could do any kind of trim you want. You could add hat chains and charms. You could add patches over this. And I'm just gluing down with the fabric Mod Podge. All right, let's use that same formula, and now I want to show you an applique. Take a look at this napkin. I fell in love with it. It was from Home Goods. I think it was Martha Stewart brand, and it just looks so perfect. So my trick for doing these appliques like this is I'm using some sewing pins to mark off where I'm going to put the fabric Mod Podge, because you don't want to put the fabric Mod Podge where you're not going to have the napkin, but it's kind of a hard gauge. It's hard to see where. So for me, I just use some sewing pins to kind of mark off the space, and I know I'm pretty close. You can always go in and add a little extra underneath. So you're going to do a nice coat. It doesn't need to be too thick, but you don't want it to be too thin. Again, I'm spritzing my napkin. I like to get it a little bit damp. I feel like it helps with wrinkles and it makes it actually easier to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that down. And you can see you have a little bit of wiggle room and you're kind of moving it over the curves of the hat. And then if you need to go in, here I am putting a little extra, just using a detail paintbrush to go in and put a little bit more of the formula underneath there. And I just love how this looks with the black hat. And I'm top coating with more just to really seal that down. This is so fun to do. You can make any kind of custom trucker hat that you want. So easy. Okay, next is one of my fave DIYs. It's the ribcage dress. I started with a plain black dress from Amazon. You could get a thrift shop dress or something old in your closet. I'm using a toothbrush and some multi-surface paint. This is cheapy apple barrel paint from Walmart. You can use grays and whites and just kind of blend it out on each seam. The old toothbrush works great for this because it creates kind of a dusty look, and I did this on all the different seams. I'm also adding it to our hem, just kind of giving it a dusty, kind of ghostly look. Now I got some gorgeous lace and I cut out a ribcage shape. And now I'm adding that same fabric Mod Podge to the back of the lace and gluing that down to the front of the dress. At the thrift store, I found a bunch of these headbands, so I'm going to take the little sequin piece off of it, and I'm using that for the shoulders and for the waist. For the waist, I'm just gluing down some of this really soft, stretchy lace. I kind of wanted kind of a ghostly look. And then I'm going to glue that to the waistline of the dress using the same fabric Mod Podge. You could also put a pin back here if you want this to come off and on. I glued those same pieces to the shoulders. I absolutely love how this turned out. It was so fun to wear. I'm planning to wear it again this Halloween. Next, let's do some headbands. These are so fun and they're not just for kids. I got some headband blanks. I think I picked those up at Hobby Lobby. And I'm going to do napkin decoupage. I'm just separating the plies of the napkin. These bat napkins, I believe, were from Temu. And I'm adding my Mod Podge directly to that headband base. This works best with those plastic headbands, not the ones that are pre-padded or satin covered. So you can see I just quickly added my napkin right onto the headband and I'm tapping down, trying to remove any wrinkles and just getting a nice smooth surface there. It's a little bit hard to get no wrinkles since you're working on a curved surface, and we are going to taper our napkin to those ends where it's a little bit more narrow. So go ahead and add any more Mod Podge where you might need to. I did let this dry for a few minutes and now I'm trimming away the extra. And you want to give maybe a 1/2 inch on each side because we're going to glue that to the back side. So you can see here I'm adding more Mod Podge to the inside. Sorry, this is a little bit hard to show. And then I'm just tucking my pieces to the back side. I did do a little snip here and there just to create some flexibility and make it easier to go into the back. So you can see I'm just gluing those little pieces down, wrapping them to the back. And don't worry if it looks ugly on the inside, we're going to cover that up. These are really fun if you're doing boutique sales or you want to make some fun little personalized gifts. I'm doing some Halloween napkins, but you could do any kind here. Okay, so this is some very thin, stiff felt. Very, very thin. I've cut a piece that will line the inside. This is a nice way to finish it off. And you know I love my rickrack trim. I love that little vintage look, so we're going to hot glue some of that down. I'm gluing that on the inside, and that edge will get covered with the black, but that'll just give a cute little sort of red rickrack, orange rickrack look peeking through when you're wearing it. So you're just going to get that 1/2 edge. I'm using my little finger protector there so I do not burn my hand. And now this is the tricky part. We're going to hot glue the liner. That's that thin felt piece that I cut earlier. We're going to hot glue that to the inside. When you're working with hot glue, it goes down pretty fast. And look at it all finished off. It's so polished. It looks boutique ready. Absolutely adorable. Okay, now we're going to work with some resin. Safety first, everyone. Safety first. You're going to want to wear your mask. This is a 2-part mixing resin. So this is not like Dimensional Magic that I showed you earlier. We're going to be using molds. This is going to dry overnight. I grabbed all these Halloween earring molds. They're so cute, fun to work with, but these could also be for pendants. I'm using my 3M protection. This is very important when working with resin. This is a 2-part resin. We're going to mix equal parts 1 and 2 together. So I'm measuring them out into cups, and then we're going to combine them. And I'm scraping the sides, making sure I get all of part 1 and part 2 together. I look like I'm mixing fast here, but I'm just speeding that up. I'm actually mixing pretty slow. You're going to mix this for 3 minutes. And as I'm mixing, I'm scraping the sides and making sure that it's really combined. So my first way I'm going to alter this is using some mica powder. We're going to just dust this into the base of the ghost. You can get these pigment powders in all different sections of the craft store. The resin area has it, the soap area has it, the scrapbooking section has it. You can also just chop up eyeshadow. I do Dollar Tree eyeshadow sometimes. And here I'm going to just mix a dollop of white paint. So you can really mix all kinds of things into the resin. So you can see I'm getting kind of a milky look there. You do want to make sure that you don't add too much to the resin. Here I'm sprinkling in some white glitter So we're going to get lots of ghostly effects here. Go ahead and mix that. Once you have your resin mixed, you have about 30 minutes to work with it. So in my opinion, it's plenty of time to mix up a few different colors and a few different techniques. I've got some alcohol ink here. Again, you can find this in the scrapbooking section. And go ahead and get that a mix. I love that deep color. That is just stunning. These molds are readily available at all of the craft stores, but I will say there is so many more molds online. Next, this is kind of a chunky orange glitter. I love this color. It's so bright and happy. It sort of reminds me of, I don't know if you all saw the Barbie movie, but the sort of rollerblading, roller skating outfits that they were wearing, those bright neon colors. Look at this neon pink. Gorgeous colors. That's an ultra fine glitter in there. So you can really mix these up in so many different colorways and patterns. All right, next up, I'm going to sprinkle a little glitter in there because of course we want some sparkle. And now I'm just filling the molds. This one's the ghost one that I did with the pearlescent at the base. And now I'm filling in with some of the white. And let's go ahead and add to our pumpkin mold there. And don't worry, I'm going to show you all of these when they're cured after 24 hours, and we're going to pull them out and create earrings with them. These could be so cute for other things though. Purse charms, pendants. This is that really rich black one. That was the alcohol ink there. I just wanted to show you a variety of different types of mix-ins. So we've got glitters, pearl powders, paint, alcohol ink here. It's really endless. Look at that hot pink. It's so great. That doesn't even, there's a lot of hot pink going on for Halloween right now, I think. Okay, and that's our ghost with just the glitter. So let's let those cure for 24 hours. I'm misting them with a little rubbing alcohol. That will help prevent any bubbles popping up. I do check them after about an hour and make sure I don't have any air bubbles. And if I do, I pop it with a sewing pin. But we look good here, so we're going to let those dry for 24 hours. And here they are, ready to be unmolded. Look how sweet the little ghost is. I hope you can see that shine on there. That's the pigment powders. Now don't worry if you have a little overhang. We're just going to trim that away. It trims away very easy. And if for some reason you get a little extra resin in the hole where your ear wire would go, you can use sharp scissors or a toothpick or a small Dremel to break open that hole. Look how cute that is. All right, let's take a look at some of our others. We've got our glitter ghost, our orange glitter pumpkin, a little witch hat. I love that neon pink, so beautiful, and of course that rich black. That's that alcohol ink. Okay, we're going to do our ear wires, same as before, 2 jump rings and an ear wire. We're going to open up our large jump ring. I'm using 2 pliers there. We're going to attach that to our resin piece. These have cured for 24 hours. If they feel soft, you don't want to mess with them yet. You want to let them sit a little longer. Sometimes the cure time is different depending upon the temperature and the humidity. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our ear wire with the little small jump ring. So it's 2 jump rings and the ear wire. Look how gorgeous they are. These are so fun. If you're selling at a boutique, these are easy to make. You can even pick up some of these mix-ins and add-ins at Dollar Tree. Okay, next up, I want to show you a really fun miniature collage on dominoes. These are the Dollar Tree dominoes. They are one of my favorites, just like those little Scrabble tiles. I love working with the dominoes. I'm using scrapbook paper. This is some Tim Holtz Halloween paper also. We're going to use the domino to trace the shape on the back of the scrapbook paper, cut that out, and yeah, we're going to attach it with Mod Podge. Let's go ahead and cut that out. And we're going to use, on this one I'm using Dishwasher Safe Mod Podge. You can use any Mod Podge that you have on hand, but since these were pendants and I was thinking they might get used a lot or handled a lot, went ahead and used a harder formula. Obviously, I'm not going to put these in the dishwasher though. So I'm smoothing that down, making sure the edges are really good. And then it's really cutting out any of the small graphics. Sometimes I have even used a color copier to shrink down some graphics. So if you have something you love and it's just too big, don't be afraid to scan it and shrink it down. So you can see I'm just layering up all of these pieces. You can do an all over design. This is a sticker, so I'm going to cut those out. We're going to top coat all of this. So all of this will be nice and sealed down, but look how cute these are turning out. So these were made for pendants, but you could do purse charms, you could do magnets. Magnets are super popular with these dominoes. Every time I make them, people love them. I've made them for teachers even as gifts. So just keep layering up the different pieces. There's no right or wrong way to do this. This is the Tim Holtz paper that's got these sayings, but I have also cut up books that are bound for the trash. If you ask your thrift store, they will give you books that they're going to throw away, and you can find some real fun words in there. I like to find romance novels. There's always great sayings in those. And then I'm top coating with more Mod Podge that will seal everything down. This is the Dishwasher Safe, so it's going to dry really hard and it's going to be very durable. I want to say too, it's also non-yellowing, so you don't have to worry about it. These are going to last over time. Next, I'm going to glue down some sparkles. You can add rhinestones, gems, whatever you want. These are just some little tiny stars. So cute, kind of Halloweenish with the little silver look. And you can add some gems. These are just little tiny gems that you would think of for diamond painting. I love them for doing these little tiny collages. I'm doing some corner pieces here. It's really endless. You can design these however you want. Just make it yours. Do your own personality. So these are going to be pendants, but like I said, these are awesome for magnets as well. There's so many different things you can make with them. I've done keychains with them. These are the bails, kind of like what I showed you earlier in the video. And we're going to turn those over and glue the bails to the back. And I usually like to keep the dots of the dominoes so that people know that this is a domino that I used. But if you don't like that look, you could do all of your collage work on the domino side and have the black be the back. To chain these up, I'm just using simple ball chain. You can buy these in bulk on a spool, and it's really easy to do, and it comes with the clasp. The clasp is just a little loop that loops together. Okay, last project is the Napkin Decoupage tote bag. This is so easy to do. These tote bags, I don't know if you have Trader Joe's, but they are trending like crazy. I've got people in my neighborhood standing around the corner to get a Trader Joe's one. We're going to use that top printed ply of the napkin. I'm putting a little wax paper in there just in case anything seeps through. And I'm going to use the fabric Mod Podge for this project. I'm adding the fabric Mod Podge directly to my canvas tote bag. These tote bags, I picked this one up at Hobby Lobby, but I've seen them at Michael's as well. I'm misting my napkin. I believe this napkin was Home Goods, and I'm placing that right onto the tote bag. When this dries, it almost feels like leather. I don't know how to explain it, but it is very durable. I have made these for years. I'm going to dry brush first just to get any wrinkles out, and then I'm top coating with more Mod Podge. Absolutely adorable, so cute for shopping in October. Thank you so much for joining me for these 9 Halloween fashion DIYs. I really appreciate you being here. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week with another fun project video to share.